Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart, and today I'll be breaking down the 4-game NBA slate we have here on Tuesday night. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that like button, as I do greatly appreciate it, and it does really help out my channel. I'll be talking through my favorite core plays, value plays, all that good stuff in this slate breakdown. Yesterday's core plays were fantastic, the best core plays of the season so far. All 4 players had 50 or more points, so we are already sitting at 210, 211 points with just those 4 guys. So if you guys played them, you're off to a fantastic start to your night. So let's look to continue that into tonight. Before I get into the slate breakdown, I just want to do a quick little recap of my lineup. With Jose, Sexton, Wiggins, Vanderbilt, Allen, Curry, Edwards, and Kessler. The 4 core plays were obviously Allen, Curry, Edwards, and Kessler. 52 for Allen, 53 for Curry, 48 for Anthony Edwards, and 57 for Walker Kessler. So yeah, it was a very, very solid night. Doubled my money. Obviously nothing crazy, but can never complain about cashing. If you guys played the 4 core plays, hopefully it set you guys easily up to cash. If not, have a very, very good night. So hopefully that worked out for you guys. Unfortunately, Wiggins and Vanderbilt kind of tanked my lineup. Of course, I had Naz Reid here at power forward. Gobert got rolled in, so I was like, I'm going to hop off Naz. It's decided between Kyle Anderson and Vanderbilt. Of course, Kyle Anderson goes for a triple-double. Vanderbilt, I think he had 4 fantasy points at halftime. He really picked it up in the second half, but that was super frustrating to see. And then Andrew Wiggins has just sucked recently. I mean, really, versus Washington, you're going to shoot 6 to 15, put up 23 fantasy points. I mean, that's just frustrating. But yeah, cash, the core plays were fantastic, so can't complain about that. You can always find my core plays on my Twitter at HeartDFS, as well as my free Patreon. As you can see, click on it. It's free. If you want to follow me on Patreon, I think you can. I think, Patreon has it where you have to donate or pledge money. I don't know what it is, but you guys don't have to do that at all. You can just follow me for free. But yeah, the core plays were there. Allen, Kessler, Edwards, and Steph. So yeah, looking to continue that into tonight and have another very, very solid night. So for this 4-game slate breakdown, first game we have is Toronto and Milwaukee. Toronto coming off to a back-to-back, but they're back to the normal amount of minutes for the starters, which is like 40 plus for each. That game went into overtime. Really screwed me on a price picks prop, but yeah, Pascal did fouled out the previous game as well. So a little bit of a foul triple streak here for Pascal. 9-8, not the best matchup. It looks more of a contrarian spin up option. For the rest of the team, the more just secondary plays, like sure, Van Fleet can definitely get you there. He played 45 minutes, shot okay. He's always decent at the peripheral stats. Don't mind him at 7-8 in a tough matchup as well. Scotty's there. He's been doing better recently. OG's, solid. It's just they kind of all seem priced up about right. So, especially Gary Trent, very score independent, almost 7K for him. Don't love the price tag really on any of these guys. They're just more of just like if you fall on them, if you kind of land on them with your lineup build, sure, it doesn't. You feel fine about that just because they're locked in for just a ton of minutes. So I don't mind that. They're just not really standout plays for me. The 2 guys you can take a shot on off the bench would be Chris Boucher, seeing, mid-teens minutes right now, 3,500. Just more of a dart throw. Same thing with Precious, but they're there. They're playing minutes. They're okay plays. Moving on to Milwaukee. Giannis sat out the last game. He did warm up. It looked like he was going to play, but I think just because of his knee, they gave him a day off. This is a back-to-back, I think, for them. So I think he'll play today. Maybe rest tomorrow, or maybe he'll rest today, play tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see, but he should be good to go at 11-8. He looks very solid. He's been very bad recently, just in terms of his fantasy output. 9 real-life points, 12 fantasy points, 22, 46 decent, and then 7, 47. So has not been playing up to his standards. So I do like buying low on Giannis, even though the price tag's not the best. He looks very solid in a very decent matchup versus Toronto. Same thing with Drew. Even though if Giannis is back, Drew does have decent upside. So I like them both a lot. If they're, if Giannis is back, really no need to get to a Portis or a Middleton. Brook Lopez is always a decent shot there at 5,800. Even with those 2 guys back, he does have upside, especially with the blocks. And then in terms of the value, if Giannis was ruled out, we can look to like a Grayson Allen. We could look to these secondary pieces like a Portis, Brook Lopez, who get more usage. They look a little bit better. Holiday would obviously look great. I think right now, Joe Ingles is really the only interest besides Giannis or Drew for me, and maybe Brook Lopez, just because he's playing decent minutes. Obviously not a high usage guy, but he could get you there if he's hitting the shot. So you can definitely look to him. Moving on to Brooklyn and San Antonio. Great game environment here. Obviously, Kevin Durant is still out. So Kyrie Irving, been very disappointing. He's been super popular, kind of burned people the past 2 games. So I don't mind loading up on him. I mean, look at the minutes, the shot attempts. It just, one of these games, he's going to have a very, very good scoring game. So I love him here at 9-9 in this matchup. I think the whole Spurs team looks very, very solid. Not really sure what this price tag is on Nick Claxton. I mean, the minutes, okay, they're decent. I mean, he's been decently producing decently the past few games, but 7-2 for Nick Claxton, even in this matchup, it's like, what? Don't get that. So I'm not going to go to him at that price tag. You can if you want, but I just don't. I truly don't understand that price tag. If you guys saw my tweet yesterday, I talked about that. But Ben Simmons here, the minutes have been a little bit of a question mark. They're very up and down. He's foul prone at times, as you can see, but he does have some upside. He's not going to score the ball a ton, but even without scoring, he still has very, very solid upside, as we saw that last game. So I like Ben Simmons a lot here as well, 5,900. He will help Kyrie run the offense and should have those minutes if he's not in foul trouble. The rest of the team like them as well. Royce O'Neal seems a little bit too pricey, but he's been playing a ton of minutes. He does have upside there. TJ Warren, kind of the same thing. Solid price tag. The minutes are a little bit of a question mark, but when he's out there, he should be productive, so I don't mind him. Seth Curry, I think he'd be my 3rd favorite behind Simmons and Kyrie. Even though he's scoring dependent, he's very, very productive when he's out there if he's hitting the shots. So I think he'd be my favorite one just because of the cheaper price tag compared to a TJ or Royce. And then, Joe Harris is there. I don't mind him. He'd kind of be the 4th option of those value guys for me. Moving on to the Spurs. Keldon looks decent there at 7-4. I mean, we know he's going to be leading the team in terms of usage. So if you get to him, don't mind it. Trey Jones has actually been decent recently. So if you want to ride the hot streak there, I don't mind it. Finally saw kind of a stealing game there, 47.5 versus Memphis. But as of right now, it's not like he's shooting the ball a ton. The minutes aren't the best. He's been productive when he's out there. It's just, there's more of it like a shoulder shrug play for me. I think Portal would be my favorite. 6-2. The minutes haven't been great, but he's been super, super productive when he's out there recently. 38 and 31 minutes, 28 and 26, 43 and 26, 27 and 26, and then 51 and 32. So he's very boom or bust. The minutes aren't secure, but for that reason, I think he's a very, very solid GPP play. So I don't mind him there at 6-2. Sohan 4-7 looks okay. Josh Richardson, a little bit of interest there. Minutes are all over the place, but he's still been very productive recently. So I think right now, my only interest would be Portal and Josh Richardson and maybe a little bit of Keldon Johnson. Sure, you can take a shot on a guy like Doug, Zach Collins, maybe Romeo, but you don't feel great about that. Moving on to Portland. Dame has quietly been having a very, very, very good games recently. Past, 5 games, 30 or more points, 34 for 55, 30 for 44, 50 for 61, 36 for 60, and 40 for 56. And pretty much has been shooting 50% or better in every one of those games. So really like the hot streak here for Dame. Decent matchup versus Denver. So yeah, I mean, Dame looks very, very solid. Rest of the team, more secondary plays. I do have a little bit of interest in Jeremy Grant here. He's just been a solid fantasy producer. Like, he will have those random breakout games. So I don't mind taking a shot on him there at that price tag. The rest of the team, I don't love it. Josh Hart's there at 5,600. Eubanks, you can take a shot on him. I don't mind that. If you do think Nurkic is going to get in foul trouble. Regarding Jokic, you could definitely, take a shot on Eubanks, who's a very solid player there at 3,000. That's a nice, value play. It would be a little bit of a kind of a dart throw, but, there is always that foul trouble risk. Moving on to Denver. Jokic, 12,000. He looks solid if you can get the money to spend up for him or Giannis. I think I prefer Giannis just because I'm assuming he'll have lower ownership compared to Jokic. Murray, if he plays at that price tag, no real interest in these secondary pieces. They're kind of like, the Denver plays for me. Murray has upside, Gordon, Porter, they all have upside. They all look solid. It's just more of like, I'm not going to go out of my way to play them. But if they fit into my lineup and I kind of land on them, sure, don't mind it. Bones Highland, if he's out, maybe it's just more minutes for Bruce Brown as like the backup point guard. Maybe they dust off Ish Smith. We'll have to wait and see for that. But right now, I'm assuming he'll be fine. There's not like a real standout play or a need to play any of these backups, even if he is ruled out. Because his minutes are kind of random at times, as you can see. 20, 24, 20, kind of the most he's seen recently. But before that, kind of floating between like 13 to like 20-ish minutes, however many minutes he gets is just kind of dependent on how he's playing. So no real standouts if he's going to be out. Maybe you could take those shot on the guys I mentioned. And then Philadelphia and the Clippers kind of rounding off the 4-game slate. Joel Embiid looks fantastic there at 11-3. Same thing with Harden. A little bit of a slower pace matchup here, but Harden's stuff in the stat sheet. Joel Embiid's just an absolute beast. So love those two there. And then the rest of the team, more secondary plays like Maxey okay, Harris okay, Melton okay. The price tags are just kind of there for me. No real standouts at those prices. In terms of value, Niang, Milton, you can look to them. They'll play about 15 to 25-ish minutes, depending on how they're playing. It kind of seems forced going to them as value. And then for the Clippers, Paul George looks like he should be back for tonight. If he is, Kawhi is just more of a contrarian play. Same thing with Paul George. Powell would be priced up too much. Terrence Mann is the starting point guard. Has kind of overtaken that role over Reggie Jackson. So you could look at him. I don't love the price tag, especially if Paul George is back, but he's going to see the minutes, so he could definitely have a decent game. Zubac would probably be my favorite play, even though he's the most risky guarding Joel Embiid. There's huge foul trouble. But I do think they'll do a good job of doubling Embiid, making those other guys try to step up. So I do like Zubac at the price tag. We know he has huge upside. It's just very random. So he's the perfect GPP play. So I'll throw him in for right now. And then that's really it. No real standouts. If Paul George is out, Kawhi looked solid. Mann, Powell, Morris, they'd all look a lot better. You could definitely get to them. Batum would be viable value play. Sure, we look to Reggie. He's going to be the backup point guard. See about 15-ish minutes around there because Luke Kennard is out. So yeah, not a lot I like right now, just in terms of like standout value. Besides kind of that Brooklyn side, as you can see. So right now, these are just kind of the 3 core plays I'm going to go with. Make sure to stay updated with me on Twitter at HeartDFS. On my free Patreon, I'll update you guys once we get more injury news about who I'm going to go pay up for. Probably right now it's going to be Giannis or Joel. So right now I'm just going to put in Giannis. But yeah, those are kind of the core plays for right now. Ben Simmons, Zubac, Giannis, and Kyrie. So make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.